My name is Leisured Spy. Today we are joined by a very old friend of mine, someone making some big moves in the underground game. We are joined by Minnesota's own Ill Fortune. How's it going today, brother?
What is good, motherfucker? How you doing?
Man, I'm great. I'm glad we can finally sit down and do this with all the technical issues I've been having lately with a very underperformed PC.
Nah, I hear you, man.
All
Struggles
right.
of computer bullshit.
Yep. Yeah, I got a I have an office PC I'm trying to use for streaming, so it's great.
Yeah,
But so
I
to
hear
start
you.
off, for people who don't know, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, kind of like how you got started in music and, start from the beginning.
All right, well, I'm Ill Fortune. I've been making music pretty much my whole life since I was like 5 years old. I started writing lyrics. I grew up on hip hop just because my dad was a heavy breakdancer, graffiti artist back in the day. So I grew up listening to all the old school 80s stuff. That kind of spiraled everything from there. So I started writing lyrics at a young age. By the time I was in seventh grade, like 12, 13 years old, I recorded my first piece of music using Audacity, just free softwares, whatever was available. Actually, I remember I recorded everything using a what was it? A garage what's that game called? Garage Band? Was that the name of that game? Garage no band something. It was the one where you play the guitar and shit with the buttons on it.
I mean, like Guitar Hero or some shit,
Guitar
or
Hero.
Rock
Yeah, that's
Band,
what it was.
or
Okay.
one of those.
It was Guitar Hero, and we had a microphone for the game back in the day, and I would just plug that into my computer, and that's what I would use to record my first couple songs on, and doing whatever I could, just making use of what I had. I'm
That's
that kind of guy
great.
that it's just resourceful and just always trying to utilize whatever I have at my hands. I never wait on anybody else to do anything I want to do. It's just, I got to get it done one way or another. That's my mindset with everything.
Hell yeah. I mean, that's one way to do it. I mean, just thinking about those mics back in the day. I mean, they definitely made a step up from those mics to, like this right here. I got one of the Razer mics, and like I'm just thinking like the difference between like if you were to look back now, would you still use that Rock Band mic today, or would you? What do you
Hell no.
what are you using right now? What kind of mic do you have?
So my actual recording studio mic is an AKG C214. I've had it for almost 10 years. I love the microphone.
Jesus.
It was pretty affordable price when I got it. It was only like 300-400 bucks, and I got
Damn.
it with my interface, which was pretty good bundle deal. Um, I am actually looking to upgrade my microphone soon. I don't know what I'm gonna upgrade to, but it's about that time where I need to step up the audio quality just a little more. I'm getting to that point in my career where this one has been cutting it for now, but you can always do better. Is
Yeah.
how I look at it.
10 years. Wow. That mic is when you get a new mic, you need to put that one in like a glass case like next to the clown back there or some shit. Just like keep that just fuck. So
Yeah, don't blame it.
so I know you said that your dad was like an inspiration for your music. Who else in like your personal life would you say is an inspiration for your music? And also who in music is your biggest inspiration?
I would say my uncle, my dad's brother. His name is Gary. He's a huge inspiration for everything I've done in music. He is the one that kind of exposed me and my brother to horrorcore at a really young age. I was probably like 9 years old, like
Who?
the first time I heard ICP and like Mr. Hyde and Necro and all those guys. So I grew up listening to that stuff. After growing up listening to 80s rap, I transitioned to listening to horrorcore, really underground stuff like that. And I just remember, listening to Mr. Hyde say my name, driving through the woods at night while they're smoking out the car and shit. And I'm, like 9, 10 years old. I'm just like,
This is life.
yeah. Well, I'm at that age where it's like I'm still getting kind of scared by certain things. So the
Yeah.
music definitely instilled a little bit of like fear in me on the horror aspect. And I grew up loving horror movies. So it's not like oh my god, this needs to stop, I want this shit to end. It's like being scared but loving that you're being scared type of feeling, like when you go to a haunted house type of
Yeah.
thing. So listening to that really had a huge impression on me. And then with CP, it was just their business mindset, that I really respected, of just doing it on your own, not waiting for somebody else to put you on, just saying fuck it and doing it yourself. Start your own label, sign your own artists, make your own music and do it your way. Don't wait for anybody else. And that's kind of been a huge motivator for me my whole life, is just do it yourself. Don't wait for anybody. Learn all these different trades and skills yourself, whether it's mixing, mastering, making your own beats, production, video, graphic design, all that shit.
Hell yeah.
Um, as far as the music goes, I mean, obviously, Necro ICP played a big part in my influences. I'd say old school Slim Shady for sure.
Yep.
Definitely played a big influence. And those are the two people I get compared to the most. When someone hears me, they always say, "Oh, you sound like a mix of ICP and Eminem."
See, but you do though, like you said, like old school Slim Shady, and probably like up to probably Shangri-La ICP, like those two combined. Like I definitely see where they're coming from. I 100% agree with that.
Well, I mean, Mikey Clark for sure is definitely a huge
Oh,
inspiration in terms of the soundscape of things. I mean, I love his production.
he's
Great Malenko's
great.
one of my favorite. Yeah, Great Malenko's one of my favorite albums of all time. Actually, top 3 for sure. So, I mean, I listen to that shit like weekly still. I finally found a hard copy CD in a record store like a couple months ago. I've
Oh,
been looking for one. I could have gone online and bought one on like eBay or some shit. But
yeah.
the feeling when you walk into like a record store or a CD store or whatever, and then you find what you're looking for on the shelf. It's just like that. Oh, it's
Yep,
like
the nostalgia feeling of it, because like people really aren't doing CDs a lot more. It's all digital shit.
that's true, but I have noticed like the diehard fans and especially like real hip hop heads, they still want that physical,
Yep,
tangible item. They want that CD. I'm the same way. I want physical items. I got a whole collection of VHS tapes in my living room
that doesn't
because, like,
surprise me.
yeah, like I have at least 200 horror movies on VHS, another 400 plus movies on DVD that are all horror.
Jesus,
Yeah, I'm all about that nostalgia, physical, tangible shit.
fuck. Alrighty, so we're gonna try something that I really wanted to do for interviews. It's called This or That. I'm gonna give you two options. You have to tell me which one you choose and like a brief description as to why. All right.
All right, let's do it.
First one, Freddy or Jason?
Freddy.
Why?
Okay. Freddy just has more dynamic. He's more complex. He's more creative with the way he kills people. His movies are just more unique and just like I said, creative. There's a lot of substance and dynamic range to what he can do and how he does it. Whereas, don't get me wrong, I love Jason. I respect the shit out of Jason, but Jason's kills can be kind of they get pretty repetitive after a while.
Yeah,
I mean, once in a while he'll do something like stab somebody in the hand with a corkscrew or some shit like that. But
that was yeah. All right.
overall, he's just slashing motherfuckers with a machete, which is cool. But I mean, it gets kind of boring. I love the movies. Again, don't get me wrong.
Yeah,
Jason's awesome, but Freddy over Jason all day.
gotcha. Chucky or Hellraiser? Kind of a weird one.
Yeah, they're a little bit on different planes to a degree, but I would say Chucky. I mean, what I love about the Child's Play franchise is how consistent all the movies are. It right up to the TV series that's out now. I don't know if you've seen that, but I fucking love
No.
the TV series. Oh, it's so good. But there's consistency from every single movie, the whole way through. None of them are like full plot holes. They all line up. Whereas a lot of the other guys, their movies feel kind of random. Like even Friday the
Yeah.
13th, around the time Jason Goes to Hell and Jason X come out, those are, I like to say that they're in a different timeline because they don't really follow the canon, ness of
Yeah.
the franchise.
I think I did actually see somewhere someone like that worked on the Friday the 13th movie say that those two were in a different timeline, or like it was a theory or some shit where like it's kind of just like what like Marvel's doing, like it's just showing like different versions, I guess.
Yeah, I mean,
Um
if you look at Jason X, one of his missing eye is on the wrong side. I noticed right away because like I think it's his right eye that's missing. I could be wrong about that,
hmm,
but in Jason X, it's swapped to the other side.
what
So
the
that right there tells you either they fucked up or it's just a different timeline.
maybe they just fucked up. I mean, it's
Yeah,
Hollywood.
yeah, who knows?
Alrighty, Tech Nine or Hobson?
That's a good question.
That
Um,
is,
I would say if we were asking who would I rather listen to, I would say Hobson. I respect Tech Nine. I think he's done a lot for the underground hip hop community, and he's still keeping it pretty original. And
yeah.
he's keeping it with that real hip hop sound. Hip hop is just more, or Hobson is just more interesting to listen to for me. I like his approach to music and stuff. Though it seems that lately he's been taking a hiatus to not really grinding as hard as he was, back in
Yeah.
2012 and shit.
Yeah. Fuck, I don't even know when the last time he dropped a song. It's probably like a year or two ago.
Yeah, I don't listen to Hobson anymore. He kind of started doing a lot more of that new wave. I wouldn't say new wave, but just more double time beats, heavy 808s and stuff like that. Whereas a lot of his old shit was just straight raw hip hop and bars. Not that
Yeah.
he's not still lyrical. He's extremely lyrical still, but it's just the sound and the vibe of what he's doing now isn't my cup of tea personally.
That's fair. Rapping or beat making?
Hmm. You're gonna make me choose between my two children, huh?
Yep. I figure that's a
Uh,
probably pretty good question since you do what you do in both is actually amazing. I know there was a few years ago when I was like trying to like do like some freestyles with some of my old homies and like I would just throw your shit on because like I knew like it was all grimy, it was fucking great, it slapped, it was just perfect. So that's why I wanted to ask what the difference or what you prefer, rapping or beat making.
Man, I've been rapping a lot longer than I've been making beats. Like I said, I penned my first verse when I was like 5 or 6 years old. I started making beats probably in 2013 or something like that. But if you're gonna ask me which one I would quit and to continue the other, I would say probably beat making. I'd probably keep doing beat making and quit rapping if I had to choose. Just because, for one, I have a lot more success as a beat maker than I do as a rapper.
Okay.
So there's more longevity in it for me that way. Um, I have passion for both equally though, so it's not like I really like one
Yeah.
more than the other. I love doing them both the same, but as far as the beat making goes, that pays most of my bills. So I would definitely keep up with the beats.
Gotcha. So this next one, I'm talking about current era for these two artists. ICP or Twisted?
Current era, Twisted all day.
Oh,
I
100%.
mean, I, Twisted is has always been super lyrical as opposed to ICP. Violent J is a way better storyteller,
Yes.
but Twisted is just really good at making music.
Yes.
All their songs have good vibes, lyrics, flows, all the shit's dope. I think ICP has been extremely hit and miss the last 10 years. I'm not a fan of the new Joker cards that have been coming out. To be honest, I can't get through them. I think that there's too many sound effects and too much hype behind the songs that they release nowadays. Like not like hype from the fans, but like
Yeah.
them getting on the song and just being too hypey. It's Violent J
Yeah.
doesn't sound like he used to. I mean, occasionally he'll do a record where he kind of has that grit to his voice, but majority of the stuff they've been doing, I just can't get behind. It seems like they're trying to pander too much to the new age crowds of kids that are coming up as opposed to just doing what they were always good at doing, and that's telling horror stories on really dope beats that aren't just full of sound effects and fucking explosions and all this and that.
Yeah. I think this is my personal opinion. I think after Bang Pow Boom is when they started to go downhill. Like I fucked
Mm-hmm.
with the album, but like it didn't fuck with the first six. Hands down, those are some of the best six albums that have been put out by rappers. And once again, my personal opinion, just because of the storytelling from one to six, it's all great.
I couldn't agree with you more. I think definitely after Bang Pow Boom is when they started to just kind of slide down. I mean, what can you expect though? They're getting old. They're like 50 years old
Well,
at
yeah,
this
they've been
point.
doing this what since the 70s
Since
ish,
the
80s,
90s.
nine really?
Yeah, well, that's when I think Carnival of Carnage came out in like 91 or 90 or something
Oh,
like that.
maybe.
Dog Beats, I think, might have been late 80s.
I don't know why I
But
thought
yeah,
70s. They were probably born in like the 70s.
yeah, yeah, exactly. They were probably like 16 by the end of the 80s or something like that. I don't
Yeah.
know the history 100%, but
Alrighty. So now I want to know what is your most prized possession you've gotten since starting like rapping or any of that? Like I'm sure you've probably gathered some neat intricates. Like I see the clown from Killer Clowns from Outer Space, which for one, fuck that movie. I saw that when I was like 5, and I've been terrified of clowns since. I know they're making a game for it, and I want to play it.
oh, I do too, man. I'm hyped for that game and the Texas Chainsaw Massacre game that's coming out. Um, Man, it's really hard to say. You can't really see my whole studio, but wall to wall, I have horror memorabilia all the way around this room. I mean, asking me to choose one thing is very, very hard to do. I will say I can actually show you one thing that I really appreciate. I wouldn't say it's my most prized possession, but it's definitely up there. And this, let's see if you can see this. These are teeth from Nightmare on Elm Street Part 4, Robert Englund's teeth. Well, so this is like a replica of the actual mold that they used. So it has his
Yeah,
actual teeth molds in here. So I can like touch a mold of Robert Englund's molars, you know?
dude,
And then someone painted, or they kind of like took the prosthetic, I believe, and then I don't know how they did it, but basically they got the teeth, from the movie on there.
that is great.
Yeah, I got a plug for this type of shit. I don't know how the guy gets all this crazy stuff, but he gets like lake water from Camp Crystal Lake. I got some of that. He gets like foundation pieces from different
Wow.
houses and stuff from movies. So I got a piece of the Texas Chainsaw House from the first movie and a film cell from it too.
See, most people have plugs for like weed and shit. You have plugs for horror memorabilia. It's great.
Yep, man. I'm all about that. Like I started out collecting just like masks and like NECA toys and shit like that. Then I got to a point where I was like, I want some screen used shit, stuff that's actually from the movie. Like I have a little vial of debris from the shack from Evil Dead, or maybe it was Evil Dead 2. I'm not sure which one it was.
Dude,
But it's like they actually demolished the shack that they used in the movie recently, and some guys went out there and collected all the debris from the actual screen used shack
of
and
course.
just filled little vials and were selling it on eBay. And I came across it and I was like, oh, I got to get that. They had pictures of them out there at the construction site. So that, it's real, and it had a certificate of authentication or whatever.
Damn. Alrighty, so this last year you played at the Gathering of the Juggalos. How was that experience?
Huh. Performing aside, it was the best week of my life. I mean, the performance was awesome. I'll get to that. But just being at the Gathering for the first time in my life it was like a dream come true. I've been wanting to go there for shit as long as I can remember, ever since I became a juggalo back when I was like 11, 12 years old. Um, it was the craziest shit. I mean, you couldn't walk 10 feet without seeing something outrageous, whether it's like a dick sucking contest or
What the
just like people just doing whatever the fuck they want, flipping cars and burning flags, and
Jesus.
it was anarchy, but it was like the best kind of wholesome fun. And the thing about the Gathering, it was peaceful, man. Like everybody was like cool with everybody for the most part. I didn't see any fights break out. I didn't see anybody having any conflicts with each other. I will say that there was like one moment where me and my wife were walking along one of the paths, and some fuckers waved us down. Right, they were sitting in their like tent area, and I thought maybe they're familiar, maybe they saw the logo or some shit like that. So I approached them to say what up, and these motherfuckers are like, "You guys want to get high?" And I was like, well, on what?" And they're like, "Here, take this." And they're trying to hand me a fucking balloon, right? Anybody who's
No.
been to the Gathering knows what I'm talking about right now. But they tried to hand me a balloon, and they're like, "Here, take a rip of this." I was like, "Nah, I'm good." And the motherfucker's like, "No, do it." I'm like, "No, dude." He's like, "Do it." And it went on for like 2 minutes of him being like, "Just do it, just do it." I'm like, "No, I'm good." It got to the point where I look at my wife. I'm like, "Let's just go. We just walked away from him." He's like, "All right, man, whatever. Fuck you then."
What the
He's just
fuck?
trying to get me to fucking slurp up his nitrous or some shit. I don't really know what the fuck they have in there, but
That's fucked up.
yeah, maybe when I was 17 I would have did it, but not, I'm 27 years old now.
Yeah. Too old for
I'll
that
smoke my
shit.
weed. Yeah, I'll smoke my weed and drink my beer, and I'll be good there. I'm not trying to fuck with shit like that anymore.
That's fair. So the performance, how did that go?
Oh man, it was great. They had me performing at 1 p.m. on the second day. I mean, I got to choose the day that I wanted to go, but I didn't get to choose what time
That's
I
fair.
performed. Um, Definitely, if I go again next year and I get a performance slot, I'm definitely gonna push for later in the night. But it was broad day. It was hot as shit. I will say that. I had like a whole getup ready for like apparel and everything. And we're from Minnesota.
Yeah.
It's not crazy hot here. You can wear a hoodie in the summertime and be fine
Yeah.
most days. Here I was wearing like a long sleeve shirt and pants, and I couldn't even stand that. I had to like cut the legs off my pants and turn them into freaking shorts, right? And then I had to like
Jesus.
rip the sleeves off my shirt. Actually, I don't even think I had a shirt. I think I took my shirt off and just wore my vest
Mm.
because I was like that hot and I was like sunburned like crazy, right? So I didn't get to wear the apparel I had planned for it, which was, you know, kind of shitty, but it is what it is. And in heat like that, you got to, you know, adapt and do what you
Yeah.
can.
But
As
you'll know
far as
for
like,
next year.
yeah, no, for real. I'm gonna definitely prep for the heat. That shit was insane. But the performance was great. I mean, I nailed every song. I didn't fuck up any words. I don't think. There was one song. It was my one of my newer songs, "Death on Tape." I put
Yeah.
that on the set list, and the song wasn't even out yet. Right, the song was like scheduled to release 2 months from then, so I hadn't even practiced that song that much. And there was just like
Oh.
one split part where I forgot like one word, but quickly recovered. Obviously, nobody noticed because it's an unreleased song.
Yeah. Hey, I mean,
Aside
it's
from
best time to do it.
yeah, I mean, I wanted to give them a treat and give them something, you know, fresh that hadn't been out yet. And I know a lot of people that were familiar with me appreciated that. But yeah, that was the only small slip up. And then the rest of it was great, man. We had a lot of hype going by the end of it. I did my song Watch Out and actually had people, you know, saying some of the lyrics back with me. I don't know if you've heard that song,
Oh,
but it was a
100%. I between that Cypher Slashers and Death on Tape, I play them all at least once, usually once a day, if not every other day.
I appreciate that, bro. Yeah, they were singing the lyrics back on that watch out, which was a cool feeling. I never get that before. I mean, the greatest part about it, as a horrorcore artist from Minnesota, you don't have a lot of your demographics just not there. I mean, there might be horror fans here and there, but to find someone who's a horror fan and a rap fan in Minnesota, especially if you're not in the cities, is
Yeah.
very hard. So I
Yeah.
do a lot of horrorcore performances in Duluth because there's a horror group called Twin Ports Horror Society. I
Oh
love
yeah, I've
those
heard of
guys.
them.
Shout out. They throw a lot of parties and stuff, and I'll perform there a lot. So at that point, I get to perform for a crowd that at least appreciates horror and they can
Yeah.
appreciate what I'm doing. But most of them aren't necessarily rap fans or hip hop fans. They'll show support regardless. But being at the gathering was amazing because it was the first time in my life I got to do my horrorcore shit, my most hardcore songs, for a group that actually fucking loves that kind of shit, you know?
Hell yeah.
So that was like amazing to me. That was one of the best feelings ever. And I wish I could get that more. That's why I need to go out on tour soon and really go to these cities where fans like that do exist. Because
Hell
as
yeah.
far as Minnesota goes, I really got to kind of pander my set lists when I do shows, and kind of gauge, you know, who's going to be at this show. Are they people that are just hip hop fans, or are they people that are just music lovers, or are they people that don't even like hip hop? Because that's how it is sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes when you're you know opening up at a show, the people there might not like underground hip hop or rap, and either way, I'm still going to do what I do. And sometimes you can convert people and make them go, "Damn, I missed that lyrical '90s shit." You know, it's been a minute since I've heard something like that. But you do got to kind of pander your set lists a little bit to that kind of stuff. I mean, it's all still the music that I love to do at the end of the
Yeah.
day. It just would be nice if I could do more of the hardcore shit more often.
Hell
So
yeah. So, any big names you got to meet at the gathering, or like any like ICP or any of those guys? Anyone's playing like the big stage or whatever?
Um, I didn't meet ICP. They were doing meet and greets, but we didn't get a ticket for that.
Gotcha.
Um, they kind of like so I've seen like documentaries of the gathering in years past of like Violent J and Shaggy kind of wandering about the grounds, partying with juggalos, doing that whole thing. When I was there, I didn't see them around at all. There's like behind the campground area, they have like a big log building or some shit, and I think that's where they were hanging out most of the time, off
Gotcha.
grounds, and it was guarded by security, obviously. So there wasn't any of that. I did see like Ouija Mac riding around on a fucking golf cart. DJ Clay, I saw him a few times. Actually, I didn't. I wouldn't say I got to talk to DJ Clay, but we had a quick interaction because there was like a freestyle. I wasn't a freestyle. It was like a rap contest, right? And I
Yeah.
wasn't even ready for it. I wasn't
Hmm.
even planning to be in it. And one of my homies came up to me and he's like, "Man, you got to get in on this. You got to do it." And I kind of like, I don't know. I don't really got anything ready. And I ended up signing up for it with like 30 seconds left before it
Hmm.
started. So I got to kind of show my shit for DJ Clay and some other people that were judging it and hosting it on the
Hell
stage,
yeah.
which was really cool. I made it to like the top 10 out of like 30 or 40 people.
Hell
And
yeah.
then I kind of just, I don't know. I think I just got bested. I didn't bring the best material. I mean, spit some pre-written verses from my song "Back from the Dead" a little bit on there, which isn't necessarily horrorcore, despite the name. So I definitely feel like I could have brought it harder with that contest, but like I said, I wasn't even planning on being in it, which is, you should always be ready. That's no
Yeah.
excuse for not being ready for something like that. But it was still a cool experience, and I still showed what I had, and I still feel like I ripped it.
Hell yeah.
Aside from
So,
that, I didn't really meet that I can think of. I don't think I met anybody super famous or anything. I mean, I was in like a 10-foot vicinity of a lot of fucking underground legends and shit like that. Never really talked to anybody though.
gotcha. So, a couple years ago, you did a track with Bizarre. How was that, and how did you manage to land Bizarre for a track?
That one fell in my lap, bro. I was that's one of the nice parts about being a producer is that you have rappers that'll buy your beats, right? And they'll buy them so that they can do collabs with, bigger underground artists such as Bizarre or what's another one? Lex the Hexmaster.
Yeah.
I've done a song with him recently. Um, Basically, the guy bought the beat from me. He bought like 10 beats from me exclusively for a tape that he was doing with Bizarre. Like they were doing the whole album together, and he had paid Bizarre to get on all the songs, I believe. And then he asked me if I wanted to be on the song, which I gave him my fee because I got to make some money if I'm going to
Yeah.
rap on somebody's song. I gave him a discount though because I actually wanted to get on it, and that's basically how it happened. He bought the beat and he paid me to get on the song with him and Bizarre.
Dude,
So
that's fucking awesome. I remember when that dropped, I messaged my dad. I'm like, you have to listen to this right now. Because, I mean, between me, him, and my little brother, we've been fucking with you for a hot fucking minute. So, like, as soon as that dropped, I sent it to both of them, and they're like, this shit's insane. I can't believe you got a fucking track with Bizarre. Which, honestly, like, that just blew my mind that you managed to get fucking, yeah. That was great. Great track, great fucking beat. Everything about it was great.
hell yeah, man! I appreciate that. That's kind of the thing is that I've noticed a lot of artists, like old school artists, are doing features now. They're like,
They
openly
got to make some
advertising.
money.
Yeah, and I understand it. I do the same thing. I mean, I'm not really openly being like, hey, pay me to get on your song. I need the money type of
Yeah.
thing. But if I have a good amount of people that reach out to me to get me, ask me if I want to do a song with them and shit, and I give them, my price and everything like that. Um, I know that to some people they get kind of offended when you're charging for a verse, especially at my level. But at the end of the day, unless this person is my homie, right, and that we network a lot and we do a lot of business together, if it's just someone out of the blue messaging me like, "Hey, you want to get on this song? I'd love to do a song with you." For me, I have no
Price.
incentive to do that because they may not be at a very high level in their career, you know. And for me, I've been doing this shit for over a decade and putting my blood, sweat, and tears into this shit, like all my money into this and everything to get to where I'm at. So it's like to me, it feels like they want me on their song for the clout, you know?
Yeah.
So by putting a price tag on it, it's kind of my way of being like, all right, are you serious about your craft? Because if you are, you'll invest this money to get me on your song and get that exposure. At the end of the day, it's no skin off my bones if I'm not on your song.
Yeah.
I take my time very seriously, right? Like I hate wasting time, especially if I'm in the studio and I have the energy to be creative and to do something. I don't want to waste that doing a song with somebody who doesn't even give a shit about their own career, you know?
Exactly.
So I got to kind of put that barrier there to get people, separate me from people that just, it's an easy way of being like, hey, I don't want to be a dick, and I don't want to openly say fuck you. I'm not going to rap with you because I'm open to rapping with virtually anybody as long as they bring the bars and they have talent and shit like that. They're not
Yeah.
doing this new wave mainstream bullshit. I'll never jump on a song with someone like. It's funny because I'm actually I might be doing a song with a homie, and he's somebody I do a lot of business with, so I'm giving him a good discount. But he was asking me if I can't even remember who it was, but he was like, "Hey, I want to put this guy and this guy on the song," and I was like, "Well, hold up, I got to look these guys up first because I don't want to agree to do a song with some guys that I don't know." So I
Yeah.
looked up one of them, and I think his name was like Lil Pink or some shit like that, or Lil something, I don't know. Right away when I heard the word Lil, I was like, "Ooh, red flag! Fucking hold up, time out! I got to check this guy out."
Yeah.
I looked up his music, and I thought his music was fucking terrible, fucking awful right off the bat. But not only that, the guy was boosting his views. Like his
Oh,
YouTube videos had
ew.
like, yeah,
Ew.
his YouTube videos had like 200,000 views, right? But then you'd look at how many likes they had, and they'd have less than 100 likes,
Yep.
and they'd have like maybe 20 comments or some shit like that. That right away tells me you're paying for views,
Yep.
you know? So I was like,
Yep.
fuck that guy. I was like, I'll do a song with you, but he cannot be on it.
No.
And I looked at the other guy and I was like, this guy's all right. This guy's dope. I'm okay with doing a song with him, right? So I'm really protective about who I rap with to that extent. You know, I'm not gonna tarnish my name by affiliating myself with some fucking bozos that are just doing some whack ass mainstream new wave bullshit.
Well, especially with what you've built in over a decade, like you don't want to fuck it up for someone who's been doing it for a month or some bullshit like that. Like you need
Yeah.
to, like that's yeah. There's so many people out here nowadays that are just trying to do the get rich quick bullshit. It's like it don't work like that. It don't.
Yeah, I mean, like as I said, I've been rapping my whole life since I was old enough to pick up a pen and write some literature. I've been writing lyrics and shit. So this isn't something that I just started doing when I was 20 years old out of the blue, like I'm gonna be a rapper. No, I've been fucking a rapper. I've been doing this shit, and I've been about real hip hop. You
Yep.
know, it's very important to me, and it's my life. So you know, I can see bullshit right away. I try to be pretty friendly some to 90% of the people that come to my inbox and shit, as long as they're coming correct and they're not just on some bullshit demanding, you know, whatever and being egotistical. If they come correct, I'm willing to have a real conversation with them and try to provide some valuable feedback to them. So you know, I definitely welcome people to reach out to me and ask me for feedback on their songs, but spark a conversation first. Don't just
Yep.
send me a link and say check this out. You know, I prefer if we could actually have a human interaction, and then we'll get to your song, and then I'll provide you some feedback. You know,
Yep.
if it warrants that.
So I know you've been making beats for a while. Have you had any big names in both the underground rap game or like the quote unquote mainstream rap game use your beats? Obviously, besides Bizarre.
Gmo Ski is using he copped 3 of my beats for his new album. Maybe he did a song on one of my beats called Missing Link. It was the single he dropped last year. I don't know if that's going to be on the album or not, but if it is, that'll be 4 songs on his album that I produced.
Hell yeah.
Aside from that, I had a record with E3 that was Easy E's son. That was like
Oh,
like 6 years ago or something. I don't even remember what the song is called. I'd have to look it up. Um, I didn't even know he had a son.
I didn't
I don't
either.
even I don't even remember how it came to be because he didn't write out buy it from me. It was somebody that secures beats for him. You know, got the beat from me and then delivered it to him, and then the song came out and it was pretty dope.
Hell yeah.
Um, and then there's another dude, Cannabis, I believe his name was. He's someone that used to be, I think he was homies with Eminem back in the day. Real old school guy. He did a song on one of my records. Um, Pace One, I believe, did a song on one of my records too at some point. Is also somebody that used to rock with Eminem, I believe.
Hell yeah.
Um, yeah, there is. I feel like there's a couple others. I just can't think of them off the top of my head right now. Um, but yeah, man, it's just that's the great part about producing beats is that you could be fucking nobody, and as long as you got dope beats, you could be getting record placements with some pretty crazy old school legends or just
Yep.
mainstream legends. I don't think I've ever had a placement with anybody that's mainstream per se, which is fine with me because you know me, I fucking hate the
Yeah.
mainstream. I hate
Well, that's why I was
just
like mainstream because like your type of music, even like your beats, like they're not mainstream. They're dedicated to a certain genre. So like I guess more or less mainstream in like the horrorcore scene, I guess is kind of how I should have worded it because like
I would call
I
Tech Nine. I would say Tech Nine is in that bracket of like the mainstream underground hip hop scene, right? Because he's like
yeah.
borderline underground mainstream at this point. Like so many people know who Tech
He's
Nine is.
yeah, he's like the top of the underground. Well, not like
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, pushing like the mainstream thing cuz I mean, shit, he's had his own label for oh god, what 25, 30ish years? I know he's been doing this for longer than we've both been alive.
Yeah, yeah, and I've actually heard that he adapted his business model off of what ICP had done with Psychopathic Records, which is awesome because that's the same motivation that I have. Is what you know ICP and what Tech Nine have done, just starting their own labels. Uh, my only thing with Strange Music is I think they sign too many artists. They don't give enough
Yeah.
spotlight to the ones they got. They just keep signing people, and I think they just need to have a core group of like maybe 5 artists max and just put them on.
Yeah, I know
That's
they.
what Funk Volume did.
Yeah, Funk Volume definitely is a good example of that. And I know like old school Tech Nine collabs. I know like when it was like Tech Chris. Um, can't think of who the other fucking two guys are. When it was just like those guys, I think that was definitely peak Strange Music. Before they got like Joey Cool, still a great lyricist. Fucking King ISO, still a great lyricist. But like you said, they
Hmm.
just have too many that they can't just let one artist shine at a time. They have to.
Yeah, which good for them. I mean, there's strength in numbers for
Oh,
sure. But I
absolutely.
mean, I think that's why Funk Volume did so well was because they had, their four core artists, Jaron Benton, Dizzy Wright, Swizz, and Hobson, right? And then they had Kato and DJ Hoppa doing the production stuff. Um, I think that is why they were able to get so much um, momentum going and so much hype behind their brand is because it was just four people and they were all complimenting each other when they would do songs. It's like Jaren's flow would complement Hobson's flow, and they were all so different that it really gave you something unique to listen to when you played some Funk Volume shit. And I love that. I really, really wish they were still a thing, man. The day that
Yeah,
FV divided was one of the saddest days in hip hop for sure.
absolutely. They could have gone in some amazing places if they would have just stuck together. But shit happens, and can still go back and listen to all the great music. So there's that.
Yep, yep, for sure. We still got the old records.
Yep. Alrighty. So who would you consider is your Mount Rushmore for rapping? Groups do count as like a single person. So like your top four in no specific order.
Oh man, top four. I mean, I really guess it depends on what the criteria is, because I would take some of my most favorite lyrical artists and I would put them on a different plateau than some of my favorite horrorcore artists. You know what I'm saying?
Let's do
But
off of straight lyricism. Like
off of
who?
straight lyricism, okay,
Yes.
Locksmith for sure. Locksmith is one of the best lyricists on this planet. Um, if we're talking older stuff, not necessarily the stuff that they're doing now, I would definitely have to put Joyner Lucas on that Mount Rushmore. His old shit for me was fire. I loved a lot of the old stuff he used to do, especially the storytelling.
What don't you like about the new joiner? Because I fuck heavy with new and old joiner.
Well, nothing against New Joyner, but I feel like as soon as he signed to Atlanta Records, his stuff became a lot more poppy and mainstream. Not all of it, but he definitely started dressing different, acting different. There's just something about artists when they're still starving and they're still broke and they're hungry to make it. There's a certain grit and essence to their music. And once they make it and get signed, not always, but a lot of times they just change it up too much. Um,
Yeah. I guess I now that when you're explaining it, like I'm thinking of like the progression. I'm seeing what you're saying. Like it's still great, but yeah, he definitely does have a little bit more of a poppy influence in some of his shit.
and he's a little cockier about it too, it seems like. I mean, he does release good storytelling songs here and there, and he was always, he had a cocky attitude to a degree,
Yeah.
but he spit it in kind of like a humble way back in the day. Like Along Came Joyner, that tape was one of my favorite tapes by him for sure. That
Yeah.
shit's dope. Um, so Locksmith and Joyner, um, man, it's hard to really put it together. I would definitely have to put Gmo Ski on there because I fuck with him heavy. I love what he
He's pretty
does.
good.
Yeah, he makes me laugh my ass off with the wild ass shit he says and his rhymes. I mean, as far as my rhyming goes, he's a big inspiration for that because the way he puts together multi-syllable rhymes with different words and stuff,
Yeah.
not a lot of other artists are doing that to this day. And he's very consistent with it, and that was a huge inspiration for me. So definitely Gmo. The fourth spot, man, it's a hard spot to fill. It's almost like a tie between certain artists. Like I would have to say like a tie between uh Wax and I don't know if there might be more than one artist named Wax, but this is a specific guy named Wax. He did a song called I think it was called like Coins or something like that. I don't remember. But anyway, so between him, maybe Jaron Benton and man, it's hard to say. Between Wax, Jaron and maybe Hobson, I don't know. It's a tough one.
I mean, that's fair. I definitely think mine would have to be old school Eminem up to probably Encore. Anything before Encore, I would put him as one. I would put Tech Nine. Um, Probably Snoop Dogg, just because both musically and in the cannabis industry, he has made some amazing moves. And I just really think that his lyrics, like, he does tell a very great story. I don't really know about, I didn't listen to Snoop Lion at all. I heard it was
I
garbage.
forgot that happened.
Yeah. Or I also didn't listen to his gospel album because, yeah. But so that's three. I would probably have to say Violent J. First six Joker cards, Violent J. Once again, because of the storytelling and like he wasn't he was like a little cocky, kind of just like enough to like get him out there, but not like, you know, well, a lot of other rappers, especially nowadays, how cocky they can get.
Yeah, you know what? I didn't even consider Slim Shady. So I mean, maybe I'd give that fourth spot to Slim Shady, old school Slim,
Yeah.
obviously. Like everything like pre 2005, I would say.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, he definitely was killing it back then. I still listen to Eminem fucking on the daily basis almost, but just the old shit. I really can't stand this new shit that he's doing. I mean, Music to Be Murdered By, Side B, definitely had some pretty hard hitting joints on there. But at
Yeah.
the end of the day, I prefer his old style of rapping. And I don't want to sound like one of those like old men that's like,
Yeah.
oh, back in my day,
Back in my day,
But
Slim Shady was good.
yeah, but it's true. It's true for a lot of artists. Their old shit was better.
Hmm.
And as an artist saying that, I keep that in mind heavily, and I don't ever want to be in that position where I'm like, man, I don't kill it as much as I used to. I'm always trying to one up myself with everything I do while staying true to what I'm good at and what people know me for. Obviously, you got to be diverse and step outside of your comfort zone here and there. That's actually what I'm doing with my upcoming album that's dropping this Saturday. Is I'm really stepping outside of my comfort zone to do something different, but still true to me. I'm basically telling my story. Um, Trying to be, I'm still, still lyrical, still hypey. It's super a lot more fast paced rapping than what I usually do. More 808s in the beats and all that. But it's different. It's not horrorcore. I wouldn't necessarily say it's underground rap, but some people might, put it in that box. But it's just different, and I felt like I needed to do that because, like we were talking about earlier, with pandering to your
Yeah.
audiences, I needed to have something more universal that I could do for when I get booked for certain shows or festivals or whatever it is. I got to have the catalog that can, you know, cater to whatever crowd I'm in front of. So this stuff, whereas there's still cursing in it, here and
Yeah.
there, but it's not just like violent murder rap shit.
Yeah.
It's like me telling my story and telling my perspective and just talking about some hot topics here and there. Um, but it's something that I feel anybody could listen to, even if they weren't necessarily a hardcore hip hop head. Which is the people I usually pander to is hardcore hip hop heads, people that can respect lyricism and shit like that. Still a very lyrical record, but I just needed to do it. Had to do it.
And where can people find that when it drops?
Everywhere. It's gonna be on all streaming platforms, whatever you use, Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube, shit. It might not be on SoundCloud because I fucking hate SoundCloud. I think it's bullshit. I think it's for the dogs. Um, call me an asshole, but that's how I feel about it. I think that only people that aren't at a higher plateau in their career use SoundCloud. And
Yeah.
that's fine. You got to use what's available to you. I'm all about that type of stuff, but it's not hard to get your stuff on Spotify and iTunes. You go on distrokid.com, you make a membership. It's like $30 a year. If you
Damn.
can't afford $30 a year, what are you doing?
Yeah.
And then you can upload to every streaming platform out there. Aside from that, you can cop the hard copies. The actual physical CDs will be available on my website. I'm sure we can drop a link at
I've
the
got
bottom of
the
here.
YouTube link is down in the description below for all of his socials and his website to get the physical CD. Check it out.
Yep.